Franklin County Board of Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, June 15th, 2021. As a reminder, this is a public meeting and is being recorded. We kindly ask that you maintain the same level of decorum as if we were meeting in person. Finally, for those of you that are calling in, please ensure that you have muted your phone line by pressing *6, and thank you very much. We will begin this morning's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Tyler Lee.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Commissioner. So in celebration of Juneteenth, this week's holiday, I'd like to introduce our guest, Dr. Hassan Jeffries. And this is 20th century African-American history professor from the Ohio State University, who's teaching civil rights and is the author of Bloody Lowndes, Civil Rights and Black Power in Alabama's Black Belt and in the Shadow of Civil Rights. If you could please share with our listening audience the history, Dr. Jeffries, the history of June 19th and the relevance that it holds today. And then if you could also touch on the work that you believe that still needs to be done for the promise that all people are created equal under the law. And so that hopefully will become a reality at some point. Good morning and welcome to Dr. Jeffries.
Well, good morning, commissioners and Commissioner O'Grady. Thank you very much for the words of welcome. It is an honor and a pleasure to be with you this morning, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to share some thoughts and ideas and a little bit of history on Juneteenth. And I'm grateful that the Commission has so chosen to recognize Juneteenth and mark it this important occasion. Just a little bit of background. The Emancipation Proclamation, of which most people are familiar, hopefully are familiar with, was signed into law as the executive order, if you will, on January 1, 1863. But the Emancipation Proclamation didn't actually free anyone. It said those enslaved Africans who were living in states that were in rebellion under the control of the Confederacy were free. But of course, President Lincoln did not have the military power in order to emancipate them. But then so it's not until the Civil War actually ends and the Union wins that slavery comes to a formal end, or to an end. And in April of 1865, you have General Robert E. Lee surrender to the forces in Appomattox. But Texas was the westernmost part of the Confederacy, and it took a while for word to reach people in Texas that slavery had ended. And more importantly, it took a while for Union troops, Union forces to get to Texas to enforce the idea that slavery had ended. And so on June 19th in Galveston, Texas, Union forces land and issue a decree with the force of arms that slavery had in fact ended. For the most part, this was the last of the enslaved folk to receive word that slavery had formally and officially come to an end. And so Black folk in Texas marked the occasion, June 19th, as this moment of celebration, celebrating the end of slavery, but then going forward as a moment of remembrance, remembering what the institution of slavery was, remembering the families that were torn apart through sale, remembering the loved ones who were murdered because violence was the cornerstone of the institution of slavery. Juneteenth was unique to Texas, but celebrating emancipation was not unique to Texas. African Americans across the nation, even here in Ohio, continued to celebrate emancipation, but usually celebrated it on January 1. It became such a part of the Black community that watch night services, which Black churches, Baptist churches in particular, but churches across the Christian denomination would gather on New Year's Eve to bring in the new year which is a tradition that began in 1863 as Black folk were waiting outside of the South, were waiting for word that Lincoln had signed the Emancipation Proclamation. So this idea of celebrating emancipation has deep roots in the Black community, has deep roots here in Ohio, which had a free Black communities that celebrated emancipation. And it was pretty consistent up to the turn of the early 20th century, because what these Emancipation Day celebrations did was celebrate and lift up former Black soldiers who fought in the Union Army. But as that generation, one of the earliest, greatest generations, passed on, then these Emancipation Day celebrations gradually faded away. But Juneteenth remained, in part because Juneteenth was so close to July 4th. Juneteenth was not only upholding sort of a celebration of community, it was also saying, wait a minute, we have to mark the occasion of the independence of Black folk, freedom, the final abolition or bringing about full abolition for the institution of slavery. Juneteenth was a way to celebrate the actual end of the revolution, the completion of the revolution, by extending full equality to people of color, to African Americans. So that helped, because of that proximity to July 4th, that helped Juneteenth not only to stay relevant and current within this sort of this Texas Southwest community, but also for it to spread over the years to other communities, to other Black communities. So while certainly my students who come to Ohio State, who come from across, living in Franklin County and far beyond, some of the best and the brightest, many of them had never heard about Juneteenth. But that's because we don't talk about it in the context of it being this moment of really celebrating what the revolution had left undone. As we fast forward to the late 60s and early 70s and the Black Power era, there were other commemorative moments. And I'm originally from New York, and we used to celebrate Black Solidarity Day. It was the same principle. It was about community building, it was about remembering, and it was about preparing for the future. But I think as the nation shrunk a little bit, as more Black folk moved about the country through great migrations, they carried their traditions with them, and Juneteenth became one of them. And so it's no longer just about Texas. It's about sort of, and no longer just about the Black community. It's really about a moment to pause for the nation as a whole, to say, wait a minute, we can't forget the 250 years of bondage, the 250 years of the institution of slavery that laid the foundation for the economic prosperity of this nation. We can't forget what that institution was and what it did to people, but we also can't forget the ways in which Black folk persistently resisted against the institution of slavery, the way in which they participated in their own liberation. And then finally, it's an occasion to come together. Frederick Douglass, famously delivered a speech while slavery was still going on, said, what to the Negro was the 4th of July, because it was this unfulfilled promise. Well, Juneteenth marks the moment where we can actually celebrate the fulfillment of the promise, the fulfillment of the idea that all people are created equal.
Well, thank you, Dr. Jeffries, for the wonderful history lecture. I always like when this isn't the first time you've been with us. For those of you who haven't seen Dr. Jeffries before, he's been with us before, and always gives us a great lesson. Such a great speaker, such a great topic, and always gives us such a great lesson. So thank you for that this morning. Commissioner Tyler Lee, do you have anything that you'd like to add, or anything you'd like to ask Dr. Jeffries?
Thank you, Commissioner O'Grady. Just to add my thanks for joining us. I was just getting warmed up and then you were finished. So always learn a lot when I hear you speak. And, one of the things that I hope is happening more is educating our young people about Juneteenth. I'm sad to say that it wasn't something I learned in school, and I hope that's changing because it is so important to our history. And thank you for just dropping by to share a little knowledge with us.
Well, like the history and the lessons of Tulsa here over the last few weeks, the Juneteenth is something that I didn't learn about until probably about 20 years ago. I thought I knew history. I thought history was something that I was pretty good at, a subject that I was certainly very fond of growing up, but it was never anything that was a part of any lessons that I had learned, whether it was at in my primary, secondary education, or at Ohio State when I was young, or Ohio Dominican. It just was not part of any subject that I had ever learned. I learned it on the Near East side of Columbus, when the NAACP and other organizations put together Juneteenth celebrations back in the early 2000s, and I was made aware of it as a younger elected official. And so I didn't know anything about it. I had to do some research and learn. I was asked to come to a Juneteenth celebration. I said, "What's that?" And so I went thinking it was just another part of the community, and I went and I was made aware. And so it was just something new to me, and I had no idea. And so now we have the opportunity. We have the opportunity to do more, to educate. And so we thank you, Dr. Jeffries, for being a part of that education process, not just of young folks, of older folks as well. Everybody needs to be educated about these type of things, and so we appreciate you being here today with us to help do that.
No, absolutely, and I think you hit the nail on the head when you say it's about education, and that's what it's about. I mean, the importance of studying not just Juneteenth, but the importance of studying the most difficult aspects of our past, and certainly slavery is at the top of that list, is so that we can understand how we got here. We can understand the ways in which race and racism continue to shape the contours of the lives, not just of people of color, but of white folk, of all people. And that's critical. We can't turn a blind eye to the past and pretend as though it didn't happen, because then we will continue to miseducate not only adults, but our children. And our children, our young people, they're the ones who are responsible for the future. And as educators, we have to do what we are committed to do, and that is teaching truth to prepare young folk for the days ahead, to solve the problems that we haven't been able to solve ourselves.
Well, that's fantastic. If I could be so bold as to take it a step further, and say that we have a very slippery slope and a very difficult conversation going on, not only in our own legislature today here in Ohio, but in legislatures all across the country over the issue of critical race theory. And we need to be ever vigilant, and we need to make sure and do all that we can to not only combat that in the legislature, but to continue to combat that on a daily basis, because it's proposing legislation that would thwart the idea that we should be able to teach what is real history, because it is against the sensibility, or the delicate sensitivities and sensibilities of folks, because it just makes them uncomfortable for their own, frankly, for their own racist reasons, is just wrong. It's wrong-headed. It's just the wrong type of thinking, and we need to be able to push back against that whenever possible. And so I apologize if I took a moment to step up and say something maybe a little bit too far this morning, but I don't think it's too far. I apologize if I offended anybody else, but it is what it is. Sorry about that.
I think that is spot on and timely, because that's what Juneteenth is also about. It's not just a time to come together. It's a time to learn. It's a time to reflect. And that's what we need to be doing in the classroom.
Well, we really appreciate you being here this morning.
Thanks so much. Good
Happy
luck.
Juneteenth to everybody.
Happy Juneteenth. Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks, Doc.
Take care now. Thank you, Doc. All right. Let's get on to the rest of our agenda. I need a motion for the approval of the minutes of the June 8th, 2021 general session, June 10th, 2021 briefing session, and the June 9th, 2020 administrative briefing.
Commissioner, you're muted.
Thank you. I move approval of the minutes as stated.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Tyler Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner Grady.
Yes.
Thank you. The minutes have been approved.
All right. To the Court of Common Pleas.
Resolution number 45621, resolution authorizing a contract with the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction for the Community Corrections Prison Diversion Program in the amount of $4,480,408.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kimberly Canada, Director of Finance for the Common Pleas Court. This grant renewal is for the Community Corrections Prison Diversion Program, which is fully funded by the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections for state fiscal year 2022 and 2023, beginning July 1st of 2021 through June 30th of 2023. This grant will provide funding for 23.26 full-time equivalent positions, which provides intensive supervision services to offenders. This program is estimated to divert a total of 1,745 offenders from prison. Pending any questions, we request your approval.
If there aren't any questions or comments, I move approval of resolution 45621.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Tyler Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 45621 has been adopted. Resolution number 45721, resolution authorizing a contract with the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction for the Community Corrections Jail Diversion Program in the amount of $727,408.
This grant renewal is for the Community Corrections Jail Diversion Program, which is also funded by ODRC, the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections, for state fiscal year 2022 and 2023, also beginning July 1st of 2021 through June 30th of 2023. This grant provides funding for 3.83 full-time equivalent positions, which provides pretrial services to offenders. This program is estimated to divert a total of 1,487 offenders from jail. Pending any questions, we request your approval.
There are no questions or comments. I move approval of resolution number 45721.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Tyler Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 45721 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. To the Clerk of Courts.
Resolution number 45821, resolution authorizing an agreement with ServiceNow for incident and asset management software in the amount of $10,200.
Good morning, Commissioners. Adam Lukout, Director of Technology, CIO, on behalf of Clerk of Courts Mary Ellen O'Shaughnessy. This resolution authorizes an annual renewal with ServiceNow Incorporated for their incident and asset management software to support the Clerk of Courts IT division. We've been using this software for the last 2 years for tracking issues from e-filers, attorneys, and the courts served by our office, as well as internal staff. The purchase order has already been approved. Pending any questions, I request your approval of this resolution.
There are no questions or comments. I move approval of resolution number 45821.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Tyler Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 45821 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Adam. Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 45921, resolution ordering the county engineer to prepare plans, specifications, estimates, and assessments for the improvement of the Mando Ditch watershed, Brown Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good
My
morning.
name is Cornell Robertson, Franklin County Engineer and Franklin County Drainage Engineer. Commissioners, before I present this resolution, I would like to share a couple thoughts of appreciation and gratitude. Thank you, Dr. Jeffries, for your presentation on Juneteenth. Very informative. And thank you, Commissioners, for recognizing Juneteenth as a paid holiday. We are doing the same at the Franklin County Engineer's Office this coming Friday.
Great.
And on with the regularly scheduled program. Commissioners, the Mando Ditch petition is in the west part of the county in Brown Township upstream of Big Darby Creek and is generally bounded by Amity Road to the west, Patterson Road to the north, and Morris Road to the south. The original ditch petitions for this watershed were established 151 years ago in 1870. The current ditch petition was filed by Frank Mando on February 24th of 2021 to improve and maintain drainage. Such drainage maintenance will not only improve the ability to farm the land, but will also improve the safety and operation of the property owner's drinking water wells and on-site septic systems, which will benefit all watersheds downstream. On May 5th of 2021, the watershed was viewed. On June 8th of 2021, we held the first hearing where Jim Ramsey and I presented our preliminary report, and you heard testimony from the public, interested parties, and other public agencies. With today's resolution, I recommend that the project proceed to detailed design, including plans, cost estimate, bidding schedule, construction timeline, and calculation of assessments. As stated in the hearing, this watershed is in the larger watershed of the state and national scenic river known as Big Darby Creek. If you approve today's resolution, we will continue to work with Columbus and Franklin County Metro Parks, Ohio Department of Natural Resources, Franklin Soil and Water Conservation District, and the Ohio EPA to protect this natural resource as we finalize the design on or before August 1st of 2023. Similarly, we will continue working with the petitioners, Ohio Farm Bureau, Brown Township, and property owners in the watershed as well. As we continue through the process, there will be additional opportunities for you all to stop the project if you see fit before construction begins. Pending any questions, I request your approval of this resolution.
Clerk Hennon Lang, do you have a speaker slip on this resolution?
I do, Commissioner, filed by a Miriam Siegfried, who I do see in the call.
Good morning, Ms. Siegfried. If you could state your name and address for the record, please. And then if you would please limit your comments to one, if you could limit them to the agenda item, and then two, if you could limit them, please, to roughly 3 minutes.
My name is Miriam Siegfried. I live at 2441 German Lane, Hilliard, Ohio, and that's in Brown Township.
Great.
Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to speak regarding Resolution 45921, ordering the county engineer to prepare plans, specifications, estimates, and assessments for the Mando Ditch improvements. I have lived in the Mando Ditch drainage area for 20 years. There have always been drainage problems in the area, due in part to expansive clay soils and flat topography. However, the quantity of standing water and time for the water to drain has been worsening. This is especially noticeable during years with very wet spring seasons, as we have seen several times over the last few years. Concerns about standing water as mosquito breeding areas and impacts to septic system functioning are public health concerns that hopefully can be addressed with these drainage improvements. Although my husband and I don't have significant drainage problems on our property, we realize this is a watershed-wide problem that requires a watershed-wide solution. Having said that, I urge the county engineer to take several items into consideration during their assessment and design. First, as mentioned, Mando Ditch drains to Big Darby Creek, and potential environmental impacts to the creek must be considered and addressed. During previous public meetings, the county drainage engineer committed to utilizing best management practices to lessen environmental impacts. It is important this remains at the forefront of any design decisions for the proposed improvement. Second, there are a significant number of mature trees along the drainage course, and the engineers are strongly encouraged to make every effort to protect and preserve the existing mature trees. Third, there is a lot of interest by the impacted residents to be informed of the design decisions that are being considered. Providing ample public meetings to provide updates on the project as it progresses would be appreciated by me and my neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Siegfried. All right. Well, Clerk Kendon Lang, we have I'm sorry. Do we have any other speakers?
I have no other speaker slips filed, Commissioner.
All right, thank you. And so we've done all the public hearings that we need to do on this issue, and we are now set for a vote, correct?
Mr. Engineer, I believe that all is in order, and the next step is as is outlined in the resolution.
Yes, that's correct. And I feel those are all reasonable requests that we are in fact committed to keep in mind as we proceed with the project if you also choose. And we do want to be very transparent. We've had additional meetings above and beyond what's required by code, and that's a reflection of how important we feel it is to be transparent and include the property owners and associated agencies as we continue forward, and we'll continue to do so.
Commissioner, this is Jean Hummer, if I may have leave to add to your process.
Sure, sure.
Since this is a quasi judicial matter and you wear your judicial hat on, as outlined in your resolution, you are, it's my understanding, you are considering both the documents received as evidence and the testimony you have received under oath as you make your decision. I believe that's a correct statement, correct?
Thank you. Ms. Siegfried, I appreciate you being on this morning. I don't know if you've followed the other public hearings that we've had, the other conversations that we've had regarding this. You indicate you've been a resident of the area for the last 20 years or so. It's about 20 years ago now that my parents actually sold their property on Morris Road, just down the street from where you live currently. And so I grew up in the area. My family lived there from the mid 1970s to until about 20 years ago. So I know the area well. I know the problems that the area is experiencing and has been experiencing for more than the last, that I know of, more than the last 40 years. My guesstimate is that it's probably been going on well beyond that. And so, there's a commitment by the engineer's office to do their level best to try to address this problem. The commissioners certainly take this issue pretty seriously. And so appreciate you coming on this morning and addressing the issue and letting us know of your concerns. And I think Engineer Robertson has noted that those are concerns that can be addressed and have been addressed in this resolution. And so thank you. Thanks for coming today.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
excuse me for interrupting. It looks as if we actually, that Commissioner Tyler Lee has lost her connection. So we are without a quorum, sir, and unable to proceed.
Well, we will be waiting for a few minutes then to get Commissioner Tyler Lee back before we can continue.
I have messaged her. I'm just waiting to hear back, sir.
Okay,
It looks like she's signing in now.
there she is.
Welcome back, Commissioner.
My apologies. We have a daily power surge at my house, and so of course it went out during the meeting. I apologize for that.
Glad to have you back. All right, if you would like to make a motion on resolution 459, I believe we can proceed.
Yes, I move approval of resolution 45921.
Second,
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Tyler Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
yes.
Thank you. Resolution number 45921 has been adopted.
All right, thank you very much. On to the engineer.
Commissioner, we begin with one of three public hearings this morning.
Yes, we have a public hearing. Can you please read the public hearing into the record?
Resolution regarding a final hearing for establishing, altering, and widening of Fisher Road, County Road number 22 between I-70 and McKinley Avenue, Franklin Township, City of Columbus, Franklin County, Ohio.
All right. I'd like to open the public hearing for this resolution. Is there anyone in the audience or anyone on the line who would like to speak to the public or to the public hearing? right, seeing none, I'd like to close the public hearing and have the clerk read the resolution into the record.
Thank you, Commissioner. Resolution number 46021. Final hearing for establishing, altering, and widening of Fisher Road, County Road number 22 between I-70 and McKinley Avenue, Franklin Township, City of Columbus, Franklin County, Ohio.
Commissioners, this capital improvement project is in the central part of Franklin County in Franklin Township along Fisher Road from I-70 east to McKinley Avenue. It is a cooperative project with the City of Columbus associated with the Franklin County Sheriff's new Correction Center on Fisher Road. With this resolution, I am asking you to approve and sign the right-of-way plans so we can begin the right-of-way acquisition process. If not already, I will see that the title sheet is delivered to Clerk Hindenlang for you all to sign. Pending any questions, I request your approval of this resolution.
Commissioner, you're muted.
I move approval of resolution 46021.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Tyler Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 46021 has been adopted.
All right, now we have a second public hearing. Can the clerk, can you please read the public hearing into the record?
Resolution regarding plans approved for the Schleppe Road Drainage Improvement Project, Plain Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
All right, I'd like to open this public hearing for a resolution, or for this resolution. Is there anyone here in the audience who would like to speak on this public hearing? Schleppe Road going once, going twice. All right, seeing none, I'd like to close the public hearing and have the clerk read the resolution into the record.
Thank you, Commissioner. Resolution number 46121. Plans approved for the Schleppe Road Drainage Improvement Project, Plain Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
This drainage improvement is in the northeast part of the county in Plain Township to replace a culvert on Schleppe Road and improve drainage between the structure and the county line with Delaware County. With this resolution, I'm asking you to approve and sign the plans so we can schedule the project for construction later this year. Not already, I will see that the plans are delivered to Clerk Hindenlang for you all to sign. I respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
There are no questions or comments. I move approval of resolution 46121.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Tyler Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 46121 has been adopted.
Okay, so we now have a third public hearing. Clerk, can you please read this public hearing into the record?
Resolution regarding establishing, altering, and widening of Frank Road, County Road number 125 at Brown Road, County Road number 142, Hardy Parkway Street and Frank Road, County Road number 125 at Brown Road, Township Road number 142, Franklin Township, Franklin County, Ohio, viewed, engineer to file plans as necessary.
All right, I'd like to open up this public hearing for this resolution. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this public hearing? All right, seeing none, I'd like to close the public hearing and have the clerk read the resolution into the record.
Resolution number 46221, establishing, altering, and widening of Frank Road, County Road number 125 at Brown Road, County Road number 142, Hardy Parkway Street and Frank Road, County Road number 125 at Brown Road, Township Road number 142, Franklin Township, Franklin County, Ohio, viewed, engineer to file plans as necessary.
Commissioners, as stated, this capital improvement project is in the southwest part of Franklin County in Franklin Township, where Frank Road intersects Brown Road, Hardy Parkway Street, and where Frank Road intersects Franklin Township section of Brown Road that extends to the south. Definitely a bit of a tongue twister. This is a cooperative project with ODOT utilizing federal safety funds to replace a signalized intersection and a stop-controlled intersection with 2 roundabouts. Pedestrian infrastructure upgrades and access management will also be implemented. This resolution is the second in a series of 2 to declare the project necessary, states the project was viewed on June 8th, and allows the engineer's office to begin designing the improvement. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
There are no questions or comments. I move approval of resolution 46221.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Tyler Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 46221 has been adopted. Resolution number 46321, pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 5543.06, setting Thursday, November 18th, 2021 at 6 p.m. at the Boathouse at Confluence Park for the annual meeting of the Franklin County Engineer between Township and County authorities.
This resolution, as stated, is for the Franklin County Engineers required annual meeting of county and township officials. This meeting has typically been held in March of each year. However, due to the unfortunate COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic and safety protocols, it was not held in person in 2020 and is just now appropriate to schedule with health orders having recently been lifted. We have contacted the Boathouse at Confluence Park, and they have availability for November 18th of 2021. Pending any questions, I request your approval of this resolution.
There are no questions or comments. I move approval of resolution number 46321.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Tyler Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 46321 has been adopted.
Thank you all very much. Have a great day.
Thank you. All right, on to the sheriff.
Resolution number 46421, resolution authorizing a maintenance agreement with Metals Treatment Technologies for bullet trap cleaning and lead abatement at the Sheriff's Office firing range in the amount of $19,846.54.
Good morning, Commissioners. Albert Smith, Assistant Finance Director for the Sheriff's Office. This contract will authorize Metals Treatment to clean the Sheriff's Office bullet traps of expense rounds of ammunition and to properly dispose of the waste. The lead and brass will be containerized and loaded onto a licensed transport vehicle and subsequently delivered to a metals treatment vetted recycling facility. Pending any questions, I request passage of this resolution.
If there are no questions or comments, I move approval of resolution number 46421.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Tyler Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 46421 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Albert. Economic Development and Planning.
Resolution number 46521, review of petition to annex 1.117 acres more or less from Prairie Township to the City of Columbus, case number ANX-20-21.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jenny Snap, Assistant Director, Economic Development and Planning. This resolution is to consider an expedited Type 1 annexation petition of 1.117 acres from Perry Township to the City of Columbus. The area to be annexed includes property located at 3693 Snoffer Road, that's south of Snoffer Road, east of Sawmill Road, north of Federated Boulevard, and west of Bent Tree Boulevard. Petition was filed by agent and attorney Jackson B. Reynolds III of Smith & Hale, LLC, who is in attendance if you have any questions, on behalf of the property owners, Jeffrey D. and Rose M. Lyons. 68.9% of the site's perimeter is contiguous with the City of Columbus, and the applicant has provided a copy of the annexation agreement between Perry Township and the City of Columbus. The petition meets all statutory requirements outlined in section 709.022 of the Ohio Revised Code, and pending any questions, we request your approval.
If there are no questions or comments, I move approval of resolution number 46521.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Tyler Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 46521 has been adopted.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jenny. Public Facilities Management.
Resolution number 46621, resolution authorizing the county administrator to execute a contract agreement with Precision Industrial Services Incorporated to perform epoxy flooring activities associated with the construction of the Franklin County Correction Center, continuation phase 2A, in the amount of $688,691.
Good morning, Commissioners. Darla Reardon, Director of Public Facilities Management. This resolution awards a contract to Precision Industrial Services, Inc. to perform epoxy flooring activities such as sealed concrete, high-performance coatings, shower walls, and flooring, etc., for the continuation phase. One bid was received. Precision is an established Ohio firm and is signatory to Carpenters Local 200 and Painters Local 1275 in Columbus. The Correction Center construction project has an established small and emerging business enterprise SEBE aspirational goal of 12%. This project remains on track to exceed the aspirational goal with an SEBE commitment of about 29.19%, or approximately 84 million as of June 10th, 2021. Precision is a minority business enterprise, an MBE, EDGE certified business enterprise, and a disadvantaged business enterprise, a DBE. So this contract includes 100% SEBE participation for about $689,000. 8 jobs are anticipated to be created as part of this contract at peak. Precision Industrial Services has demonstrated it has the capacity, experience, and ability to complete the required work. The project owner's representative, Pizzuti Solutions, and the project construction manager, Gilbane Smoot, are supportive of this contract award. Pending any questions, we request your approval.
Thank you. If there are no questions or comments, I move approval of resolution number 46621.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Tyler Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 46621 has been adopted.
Thank you.
All right. Clerk Hindelang, do we have journalizations today?
3 this morning, Commissioner. First, from the Office of Management and Budget, the Franklin County Board of Commissioners will hold a public hearing on the 2022 Franklin County tax budget. This hearing will be held via Zoom conferencing at general session on Tuesday, June 29th, 2021 at 9 a.m. Additional information may be obtained by contacting the clerk of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners at 614-525-5387. The second, from our friends at EDP, case number ANX-23-21, an expedited type 2 annexation petition. ANX-23-21 was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on June 3rd, 2021. The petition is requesting to annex 0.91 acres more or less from Clinton Township to the city of Columbus. The petition will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on July 6th, 2021. Site 1195 Chesapeake Avenue, PID number 130-005495. And the second, case number ANX-24-21, an expedited type 2 annexation petition, ANX-24-21, was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on June 3rd, 2021. The petition is requesting to annex 93.8 acres, more or less, from Hamilton Township to the city of Obetz. The petition will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on July 6th, 2021. Site 5080 Lockbourne Road, PID numbers 150-000203 and 150-002506.
Thank you, Dean. Do we have anybody from the media that would like to ask any particular questions?
Mark Kovac, Columbus Dispatch. I have 2 questions for you. First one on Juneteenth. Obviously, I followed the discussion earlier, so I will just ask, since this is the first official Juneteenth for agencies under your authority as commissioners, why is it important to make that a paid holiday? You're sort of an outlier, I think, on that. State and federal offices are all open that day. Why make it a paid holiday?
Commissioner Tyler Lee, do you have a comment, or do you want to start?
Sure, and I'll allow you, Commissioner O'Grady, to talk about the conversation that led to the paid holiday, since I wasn't part of that. But I will say that I certainly applaud Commissioner O'Grady and Commissioner Boyce and former Commissioner Brown and whoever else was part of that decision. I'm sure Administrator Wilson, to acknowledge the rich history of Juneteenth, like we heard Dr. Jeffries share. As I mentioned, it's unfortunate that Juneteenth hasn't been taught in schools historically. It's been a long time since I was in school, so hopefully that has changed. But it's such an important holiday in the history of the African American community. And I'm so pleased to see all of the many things that the county is doing in recognition of it. We're hosting a lunch and learn tomorrow for county employees. And as Dr. Jeffries mentioned, that education is so key. And it's my hope that our county employee family will take the time to participate in the lunch and learn, take the information back to young people in their family who maybe aren't familiar with Juneteenth. I don't think I was first exposed to it until I was in college, and I went to a historically Black college, and I think that was a big part of it. But we celebrate Juneteenth. We celebrate the emancipation of African Americans. But I also think about our community today and why the work of the poverty blueprint and the work of the county is so important, because we know that we have residents who still need to be emancipated from housing instability, who need to be emancipated from food insecurity, who need to be emancipated from violence in neighborhoods. And so while we celebrate Juneteenth, and it is a historic and significant mark in our community, there is emancipation that still needs to happen of residents right here in Franklin County. And I applaud the work that so many county agencies are doing to ensure that that can occur. But thank you for the question, Mark.
Mark, when we did the poverty blueprint work, and we realized and recognized the fact that race and racism is the number one factor in the issue of poverty and combating poverty, and then we look at Juneteenth and realize that for 150 years, or for the last 150 years, it's something that hasn't been taught or recognized the way that it should be. And so we decided that last year in particular, with all that was going on in this country, and race and racism being at the forefront in this country last year in the way that it was time. It was time in Franklin County for us to say that while we have been focusing on and doing all this work to combat poverty, with racism at the very forefront of that battle, number one, but number two, recognizing that education is such an important thing, and recognizing that Juneteenth has not been focused on or taught, and has not been a part of the mindset in this country or in this county for 150 years. We decided that it was time. It was time for us to make it the holiday that it deserved to be, and the option that it deserved to be for our employees in Franklin County. We made racism one of our combating racism one of our core principles last year, along with all the other things that we do here in Franklin County. And so it became time. It became time for us to do that.
This is Kenneth Wilson, Administrator. Mr. Kovac, I was, of course, as administrator, working with the board and making this determination. I applaud them, and I think we are in a position where we should have to wait on others to lead. That is one of the things that I am most impressed with by the commissioners that I work with every day, is that on matters that challenge us as a community, we take a leadership position and we don't wait on others. In coming to make this a holiday, of course, the county no longer observes Columbus Day. And again, as Commissioner O'Grady was saying earlier, we also must challenge ourselves to look at the truths of history and make the right corrections as leaders in the positions that we are in. We have to be able to not only think about the surroundings of Franklin County, but be the change that we want to see and set the example at a nationwide level in taking positions on such matters. The commissioners, as has been stated, made a declaration of racism as a public health crisis. That is a reality, and there's other entities that didn't take that step until after Franklin County took that step. And to lead and have others follow is something not to shy away from. I think it's something that we all must do, in how we have been challenged over the last couple of years, especially as it relates to matters of social and economic justice. We got to lead and not follow. And I think that's what was done here with action and not just words when we talk about declaring racism as a public health crisis, and when we talk about the commissioner's action in making racial equity a core principle of the Board of Commissioners. And that provides an example for all other agency directors. And we want that to be, as has been stated many times, part of the DNA of Franklin County, to be about equity for everybody and to educate the community and be on the right side of these matters.
Eventually they'll get it. Took folks a while to realize that Martin Luther King Day needed to be a holiday too. Eventually they'll get it.
On a totally different subject, the city of Columbus is going to be handing out $100 bills to people who get COVID vaccinations. Is the county thinking about doing anything like that?
You know, I need to talk a little farther with some of our administrators about this idea. I'm all for the idea of encouraging folks to get vaccinated. We've been pushing the idea. If you've been listening on these calls that we do weekly now, they were daily, and then they went to a couple times a week, and then now they're weekly. We've been pushing the idea of the vaccine for a long, long time, and I want to do everything we can to incentivize the idea of vaccinations. But I'm hearing some concerns about the idea that out there that we're going to incentivize COVID vaccines, but we don't incentivize flu vaccines, and we don't incentivize other type of vaccines. And so while I applaud the city for doing all that they can to encourage vaccinations, I'd like to have a further conversation about what all this means before we sign off on the idea of an incentive program. So I guess that's a long way of saying, I don't know, maybe.
But nothing immediately in the works. You don't have any kind of plan on your desk to dole out money, at least.
Not right yet.
Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great week. And I'm sorry. Oh, I apologize. You're correct. I think that Ms. Siegfried has her hand up still. Ms. Siegfried, did you have another question or a comment?
I just had one additional question. I see that this Zoom meeting has been recorded, and I have seen other videos posted to the commissioner's website, and I'm just wanted to confirm that this Zoom meeting will be posted in video on the website, and if you know when it would be posted, so I could pass that on to my neighbors.
Commissioner, if I may.
Yes, please, Dean.
Ms. Siegfried, all of the Commissioners' General Sessions are posted to the Board of Commissioners website, and that usually happens within 1 week's time. I'm happy to reach out to you as soon as I have the recording.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Many of my neighbors had mentioned that they would have like to attend the meeting, but they were not able to get off work in order to do so. And I'd like to let them know that they could see what transpired.
I'll reach out. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Commissioners, I think that's it, unless you had
Okay.
anything else.
Anybody else have anything for this, this meeting this morning? If not, everybody have a fantastic week. See some of you folks on Thursday. And have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Record.